There are a lot of music artists in the world, at least 12 according to this random guy on Reddit. But more reliable estimates suggest about 60,000 located in the United States alone, and an estimated global total of 235,000 just using Spotify, the internet's largest music platform. Many people aspire to make a living off of music, writing songs, planning tours, and ditching the 9 to 5. But how much can they really make from this? Turns out a lot for some artists. The big names like Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar, The Weeknd, and Billie Eilish rake in tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars per year. But that raises yet another question. How exactly are they making all this money? Now your first thought might be income from music streaming services, and while all the big brands do pay artists for their music streams, similar to YouTube's AdSense program which pays per view, the actual amount depends on factors such as origin country for streams, with business from more developed countries paying better, and accounts with paid subscriptions like Spotify Premium or SoundCloud Go also reportedly paying better per listen. However, these streaming services don't pay very well, especially for smaller artists. Spotify only pays $3 to $5 per 1,000 streams, and Apple Music pays just a bit better at $6 to $10 per 1,000 streams, but in turn suffers from a much smaller audience pool overall. To put these numbers into perspective, an American artist would have to bring in about 16 million streams before they could meet their national average income. Australians would need 12 million streams to meet their national average, and people from the UK would need 10 million streams. And that's not even thinking about record labels and managers taking their own cut. Now of course this isn't an issue for larger artists who rake in literal billions of streams every year, like Taylor Swift, who made $100 million from her 21 billion streams in 2023. But it does mean the smaller artists have to try even harder just to make a living. Instead, music festivals might seem like a good way to make some money, especially for a small artist, since every festival needs its support acts and its fillers in the lineup between all the big names. But the reality is that a lot of festivals pay relatively little, if anything at all. But when festivals do actually compensate their artists, the amount varies greatly from festival to festival and from artist to artist. For example, on average, Coachella pays its performers $10,000 to $15,000, although those numbers are much more boosted by headliner acts. If you're looking for more specific numbers, South by Southwest reportedly pays their smaller music artists a meager $100 for solo acts and $250 for bands. On the flip side, Glastonbury Festival in the UK reportedly paid Coldplay $240,000 to perform it pre-COVID. Although the actual cash reward for festivals may not sound that substantial, the actual appeal is exposure. Getting the chance to perform to audiences of thousands, potentially tens of thousands of people who might not have ever heard of you can give a band or performer a significant boost in attention. The best part is that festival goers will inevitably post the experience on social media, thereby spreading an artist's exposure far beyond the festival grounds. But if getting paid and exposure isn't really your style, there's always the option of just organising your own concert, and with a whole bunch of people paying a whole bunch of money, it should be easy money, right? But then you have to factor in the venue cost, which can be anywhere from a few $100s for smaller venues to thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. After that, there's costs for sound and lighting technicians, potentially extra security, and if a band plays, they'll have to split the profits between all the band members. Fortunately for these artists, concerts do pay out pretty well, and even a small venue with relatively affordable tickets can make a nice profit, and while a small-time indie band or a solo country singer might only rake in a few $1,000s from a packed pub, larger artists like Ed Sheeran and more recently Chappel Roan can easily make hundreds of thousands if not millions of dollars from concerts in massive stadium venues. Some artists might even make additional income from the merch stands that always sits outside concerts, preying on those lucky few who still have some money left after buying the overpriced tickets. To expand on this, merchandise can make some serious money. Just take a look on Alibaba and you can see just how cheap this stuff is to order in bulk. Or don't if the implications of fast fashion hurt to look at a little too closely. But once you've overcome these ethical dilemmas, you can slap your brand on your very own line of t-shirts, mugs, shorts, jorts, bumper stickers, action figures, and calendars. As a music artist, you also have the option to sell things like vinyls, which have made quite a substantial resurgence in recent years. But why stick to the usual? Some artists like to try something a little different, like Lana Del Rey, who sold these absolutely stunning heart-shaped necklaces in 2015. Some artists like to stun their audiences in a slightly different way, like Lil Nas X, who famously sold these Satan shoes back in 2021, complete with upside-down crosses and pentagrams, which elicited quite a negative response from both the church and Nike's legal team. Most of this merchandise can be sold at the previously mentioned concerts or at music stores all across the world. Alternatively, if you want to cut out the middleman, you can always sell your merch online. Some artists like to have their very own website for their merch. There's nothing wrong with using websites like Shopify either. But instead of the complex logistics of designing, producing and selling their own merch, plenty of music artists and really any online creator might instead opt to simply promote another brand's product through sponsorships. These sponsorships work pretty much the same way a YouTube or Instagram sponsorship works, with these creators being paid to promote goods and services, and those with larger followings being paid significantly larger amounts of money. For example, my fellow Australian viewers might remember Menulog and their advertisements featuring Snoop Dogg and Katy Perry role-playing as delivery drivers for the food delivery app. These two were reportedly paid $9 million Australian dollars for these ads. Granted, an aspiring artist wouldn't be making this kind of money, but it paints a picture for the huge sum of cash some artists can get paid. It's hard to gauge exactly how much a smaller artist can be paid for a sponsorship, since the only numbers widely available are those of massive media sensations, and to be honest, I'm too scared to cold DM any small music artists, so we'll just use this Shopify chart for Instagram influencers and call it a day. Great, moving on. The best way to maximize your chances of being offered a paid sponsorship is to be on every mainstream social media platform possible and remain active. No one is going to sponsor an account that's collecting dust in the corner. Being on social media is probably the best thing you can do for your own career, apart from, actually good music. So there you have it. Whether you're an aspiring music artist trying to afford to eat more than just ramen noodles and bread sandwiches for the rest of your career, or someone who's just curious about how the rich keep getting richer, this is, for the most part, a total rundown of how musical talent gets turned into profit. Be sure to like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to see more from us at ENVEE every fortnight.